with so much pain in them that it can no longer be felt, told not to think anymore about the real, told not to say a thing about the things they feel. Then there is nothing left but a big space with corners of dark and shade. I live here with my smiles, with my looking through the wet window at the street and the people, with the lights out so that they can't see me even if they looked. I don't care if they do or not, but I say that I do, and I talk about rain and sun and all those things.
In County Clare, we have 4 mental health associations. We have Shannon, North Clare, West Clare and Ennis. And each of those associations will have different projects. They're usually around supporting people from a social aspect rather than from a therapeutic aspect, like we would be involved in housing, social clubs, peer support projects. Our remit is to look after the needs of people who are actually, experiencing mental health difficulties or who have had a diagnosed mental illness.
What about the food? All right, so...
The other side then is promoting positive mental health in the community at large, getting people to appreciate that they've got mental and physical health and that they really need to look after their mental and emotional health as well as they look after their physical health.
Yeah. You want tomorrow? You can just step up, and what you do is you just, Trevor the musician, you can just pull it back to...
I got into working with clubs as an artist initially. With St Anthony's, I went in to do 6 weeks art through Embrace. They run, they'll have artists go into clubs and work. And then from there, I started working as a facilitator in DIS. And that was followed by the North Clare Club and St Anthony's. The idea of the clubs is that they're relaxed places that people come along to, but each club is very different. It'll have its own atmosphere and its own mood. St Anthony's is big. There might be 40, 45 people going. It's huge. They stay in.
One of the groups is St Anthony's Social Club, which I am a member of. I would be one of the founder members of it. We came to know that this evening was taking place maybe 2 weeks before it took place. So we just went along to see how we could highlight issues as they appear for people with mental difficulties.
DIS is small. We go out. It's a younger kind of a group. It's about fun and not being judged and just being able to do what the members want to do. Going into bars, going to the cinema, we have parties, we play games. Really, it's a bunch of friends, is what DIS has come down to.
It's a great social outlet. It's probably the best in town, really. It's not just activities, and it's the people you meet there and support you get and good friends that you make from the club as well.
So are you saying
Next
you
year.
want to use those?
No, we don't have to. We were just messing last week and saying, yeah, that'd be cool with caboos and things, just because it was...
Well, obviously, yeah.
The DIS Club, we call it, the drop-in zone. And basically we just do a lot of different activities and there's, just meeting people, and sometimes we don't do anything except hang out, and that's nice as well, But there's a great social aspect to it.
This head here when it's finished, is going to be filled with typed up pieces of writing that are being sent in from all the different clubs and really from all over the country. They're all anonymous.
There was an Embrace exhibition on in Glore, and some of the work from some of the members was being put in. And at that stage, somehow this idea for a big head with pieces of writing was mooted. We were out one afternoon and we got talking, and it really came about as one of the members said that she felt she was being watched and listened to. So she said that wherever she went, even into shops or onto buses or talking to anybody, she had this idea that everything she said, she had to think so carefully and make sure it sounded normal, or maybe it would be reported back.
People with a mental health difficulty, they maybe feel inhibitions that other people don't feel when they're in public. They might go into a bar, they feel for one reason or another that they don't fit in or they don't blend in with the people that are in the bar, even though maybe they're better socialisers than any of them. But that's just the way their difficulty portrays itself.
Wouldn't it be great if everybody could say just exactly what they wanted to say without having to think, oh, what does he or she think? Are they judging me? Do they think I'm mad? Do they think I'm angry? Do they think I'm bad?
Basically, we just made the head out of paper mache, and Hazel did most of the work herself.
Shredded copies of the Saturday Guardian, boiled and then strained, squeezed and mixed with PDA and lit. PDA glue.
It was newspapers, so it was like words contained in words. It was great, words chopped up and boiled up and mushed and then made into this big head that contained more words. So it seemed to be very appropriate, the choice of material.
What we're going to do on the night is we're putting a good few pieces of writing into the head, and then everybody takes a piece out and reads it out. Right, it can be anything at all. It's anonymous, so you don't sign your name, plus you can write about anything you want. It could be a poem or a short story, or maybe something you're feeling on the day that you want to write about.
The Disc Club, where this project emanated from, is geared towards younger people, and the idea is just to try to, as I said, to get them to socialise, to get back into their own kind of social circle and link back in with their own peer group again.
So Daniel, how many are you reading tonight?
I'm reading 2 out, one of my own and one that was submitted. I started writing around the age of 13. Started writing poetry and I just progressed from there. I suppose when I got to about 16 or 17, I think that's when I really got into writing big time, really.
We invited everybody. We invited the people who were involved in the readings. We invited their families. We invited the mental health services, people who work in mental health services and who have contact. Everybody.
How's it going?
We had the head in place, we had a musician there, and we had volunteers from the clubs, facilitators and members who had said they would read. Some people chose to read their own, they decided they would go public, and they didn't mind putting their name to their pieces. Other people read at random, I picked out pieces.
Once I wanted to do something extraordinary, but my illness prevented me from doing these things. I feel paralysed emotionally, but not intellectually. This is called schizophrenia. A friend of mine, he lost his nerve. He said he couldn't do it because he felt that it was too public an issue for him to broadcast to the general public. So he's and Buckley asked me to know, would I ever stand in for him? Would I take his script and read it, even though it wasn't belonging to me? But she said it didn't really matter, that once the feeling was got across to her that it would be good.
We tried to kind of have an intimate atmosphere at which people could go up and read pieces from the head, they could dance, they could eat, and interspersed into this there were, I think, 4 blocks of readings, maybe 5 people reading in each block.
I was writing poetry, mostly about my feelings and about I suppose the illness that I had at the time. The schizoaffective disorder is the name of the illness. It's kind of like a cross between schizophrenia and manic depression. And I suppose I developed that around the age of 14. Kind of paranoid thoughts and worrying about people being against you and the likes of that, you know.
I looked through all the pieces. Some were incredibly funny and some were incredibly sad. So we wanted to give, as much as we could, a balance of these. You know, we go from sad to happy.
Eat more bananas. Become monkeys. Monkeys are fine, but I prefer donkeys. Alas, donkeys do not enjoy bananas. Donkeys are great because they are laid back. I had a donkey pet called Dinky. We rode him all around the farm. Yes, but has anyone ever tried to ride a monkey? Or a banana? Nowadays you never know. I love bananas. Was chased by a monkey once, not so funny, and loved my donkey Raymond. Now I have a dog called Dinky.
We wanted it to be positive and hopeful, but we did want to show the dark side, which I think we did. We did achieve that.
Yeah.
I'm going to read out 2 poems, you know. One was sent in to us and the other one I wrote myself. Venturing through the subconscious with conceptual mind, the joys mysterious, the crowning of mankind. Domains exposed, no frontiers of an omnipotent being. Stars fall and rise to the humble birds as they twitter and sing. Time no longer shackles experience or flight. The dawn that darkens soars through the night. The gods whisper through a kaleidoscope of images surreal, and fleeting with very freedom, no necessity to feel. No cage of consequence, life cascades through your soul, and the light of your darkness becomes your deep yearning goal. Fear of elation is what keeps you sedated. Fear of the shadows mires the masses in hatred. But beyond the shadows in the feast of a bond, and with eyes shut tight in the glorious night, life's horrors are vastly beyond. Whispers of nature cascade with the stars and envelop the earth, with mysterious twists from death to birth. A barrage of symbols, cryptic and divine, a call to arms, destruction of waning world with every word a sign. Let me flow far from here, the silent screams. Our life's a command of my deepest dreams. Thank you. I suppose the stuff that I was writing at the time and even up to recently is quite dark. I'm 28 now, and over the last 3 years, I suppose, I've become very well. I'm on some good medication, and I'm getting I see a psychologist as well every week. So I'm a lot better than I was. I was in and out of hospital for a long time. I suppose I spent 10 years in and out of hospital, but I've been out now for a couple of years, and I'm feeling better than I've ever felt, really.
We all like to express ourselves. We all like to be able to, have our voices heard. But if you have a mental health difficulty, or if you have been diagnosed with mental illness, it really is, there's a lot of stigma attached to it. There's a lot of, it's very difficult.
I try and do my best for anyone, because I know where they're coming from, having had depression myself. I can understand that if a person needs a little help, what about it? Like, it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's actually something that a lot of people back off of, because they would find that the issues that are being dealt with are issues that they're not familiar enough with, and that they aren't at ease with in discussing them. And because of this, people tend to treat them as inferior people, and why they should do this is beyond me.
We wanted to provoke, we wanted to get things out into the open, not for a political purpose but for a personal purpose. So anonymity was essential. It really, really was. A lot of people feel, especially I suppose if they're in the services, they don't want to be identified.
I got caught kissing a tree once. It was the softest, sweetest kiss I had had in months. And my lips felt all soft afterwards. It was worth getting caught and being taught mad.
I don't know why it was poetry. I suppose it's easier for people to maybe write in an abstract way, to express themselves in an abstract way. But I think it's very important to listen to the content in each of the pieces.
All my life I've been alone and afraid of letting anyone know how I really felt. Nobody ever cared. Nights I'd be pulled out of bed because housework wasn't done. I prayed for God to take me away. I wanted all the hurt to go away. I never did anything to hurt anybody, and if I did, I'm sorry. I was like the mother in the house, and at the age of 8 years I would have to wash clothes by my hands and wash the potatoes for the dinner. If the work wasn't done, my father would beat me. I could never share this with key workers I had, because I'd feel the pain, and I can't bear the pain.
I had to keep my mouth shut because Dad would belt me with whatever he got his hands on. I thought I'd never be an adult. Every day was so painful. I prayed every morning and night that God would take me away. He never helped me to die. Only year after year and day after day, that pain continued. I felt so low for a long time that the pain in my body is hurting me, and I can't take it anymore, because I don't know what's wrong with me anymore. And thanks to everyone who has helped me.
I'm reading, it's called Freedom, I think. Freedom feels like flying high. Above my limitations and seeing that they are illusions, I create myself. Reach out of my comfort zone to experience what freedom feels like. Let go, fly, freedom. The sky is the limit. There are no limits except those I set myself.
I feel strung out and hung out to dry. Lost in the sea of milk grey tears. In a milk grey sky under city lights. No stars, no moon, no landscape lights, by which to lead me through the night.
The ties that bind are lost to Mother Earth and Father Sky. A milk grey ghost I'll be forever, drifting slowly toward the 12th of never. To be sure a place wherein I stand is left to define by my own hand. So drift I will, and choose I must, whether stop and die or move and trust the God of ink and paper to mark my place instead of blood here in the halls of forever.
I don't have any issue with people who maybe for one reason or another don't feel competent enough to speak about their life story. So I just said I'd do it like as a favour for my friend, and that's how I became involved in it. I feel paralysed emotionally, but not intellectually. This is called schizophrenia. I want to overcome this, but find it hard to do so. But I am making progress with getting back to study, losing weight and getting fitter. I hope to go on from this and move out into a flat. If I can do it, I would like to travel in the future and see some of the world. If it is possible, I would like to volunteer for some work for charity, but I hope to live the remaining 30 or 40 years of my life. I won't tolerate mediocrity anymore in my life. I think I am making progress in these ways. I would like people to know that I mean to continue with this work. If there's any area of life that I have an interest in, and it's people with a sensory or a physical disability, I'll try and make it my business to highlight their issues as best I can and as fruitfully as I can. And like with that, I have an open heart to anybody that has a problem.
The people who put in pieces and hearing lots of them being read out, they would say, yeah, everybody has these same feelings, they might have them in a different way, but as human beings we do share experiences.
I suppose if people were honest enough, I don't know, is there anybody that could say that a mental health difficulty isn't an opening to a better or a more fruitful life? Because people that I know, including myself, I'm in third level education and studying to be a counsellor, and I have in the past suffered from depression, but thank God it's well behind me. I can have a very good life.
Performance-based, so people weren't going to sit at tables, write pieces and pop them into the head. But you know, maybe we can still extend it, we can still put it in other places, and people can read what's in it and they can respond.
I think it's a great idea, and the people on the night really took it. Everybody was very impressed with it, and I think a lot of people got a lot out of it, I think.
The most defining thing for me was how people reacted afterwards and how confident they felt and how good they felt about themselves, the fact that they had taken part in it.
I'm teaching myself guitar at the moment and learning a bit on the harmonica, and I have quite a few songs written as well.
We will keep going. You know, I'd hope to even put it in place in the various clubs at various points so that people always feel that they've got some kind of recourse for what they're thinking about.
If I could have people know that there's people who have travelled the same path that I have travelled and that have a life full of optimism and hope.
This project is about recovery. Recovery is cyclical. You know, we go from one stage to the other, to the next stage in it. But it's important that we see this as a project where people are beginning to take those first steps in recovery.
A head full, heedful always, at all times. A foot wrong, a mouthful, mindful. Remember, memento mori, cold readings and attempted mind readings.
In third level education and studying to be a counsellor, and I have in the past suffered from depression, but thank God it's well behind me. I can have a very good life. I'm a married man and I have a future that I didn't think was possible for me at one stage. I don't know, is there anybody that could say that a mental health difficulty isn't an opening to a better or a more fruitful life?
The project really enables us to work with service providers and people with mental health difficulties in partnership together in looking at what we can do to empower people, to enable people, and to really get people away from looking at their lives as their illness. We've already taken the first steps of taking this project forward, where we're beginning to look at things like peer support, looking at RAP programs, and it's about us working with people, having people with mental health difficulties at the centre of planning these projects, and getting them to look at what are the tools that they need to work on and what are the things that they need, so that it comes from themselves. And I think that the readings and the people talking in this project, it's very clear that they know themselves what is helpful and what are helpful relationships. And it's really up to us to help them to develop these relationships and to move forward in a recovery model. So we need to start really working in partnership with all these people and moving forward.